Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist, and this time talking about what's happening in Colombia, in South America. And what's happening is very interesting because you're seeing an uprising from the left, these Marxist, socialist, basically your typical commie operating in Latin America as it's usually the case. Now, if you don't know what's going on in Colombia, that's perfectly fine. You can watch some clips on YouTube, but basically the short version is this. Colombia has a more of a economically liberal president. He's more of a free market type of guy, center-right. I think he's a lawyer, but he's basically one of the more common sense approach to the economy, to managing a country type of people. And that doesn't go well with the left. So what the name of the president is Iván Duque. What President Duque in Colombia was trying to do was, arrange their accounts. They have lots of expenses. They need to find a solution for the financial aspect of the crisis with everything going on. And he was making some unpopular financial movements, raising fees, taxes here and there. I think gasoline was going up, some of the public services. Usually these are all, especially public services in transport, usually are subsidized to a great extent across Latin America. And whenever they raise these a little bit, it's nowhere even close to the actual price of the service offered. It's just that it's being financed and it's being reduced even less than before. But all of these, he was also going to be raising some for those that have more than $1.3 million, so those would be paying a bit more. So it's really not affecting your average person in Colombia if they're going to be raising it for people that have over $1 million. That wouldn't be like the poor or the middle class, especially not in a place like Colombia, where the average wage is going to be a lot lower than it is in the United States. But basically, yes, indeed, unpopular type of measures, but this is the kind of thing that happens all across the world in any civilized country. Whenever some of the costs go up and something needs to be paid, the money is always coming out of the same place. It's the people that are going to be financing all of this. That's why you want to pay as little as possible, and whenever it has to be raised because there's some something you cannot deal with, or you have no other choice but to do that, it's done with a lot of care. But that was not enough for the people of Colombia. Apparently, they were all very much upset about all of this, and they decided to take to the streets, protest, and start burning everything up. That's what apparently you're being told is the case. Now, the interesting thing is that President Duque said, okay, I see a lot of protests, I see a lot of people that are unhappy with this. We're stepping back. We're not doing it. If this is so unpopular, we're just not doing this. It's canceled. This law that was going to be passing, they take it back and just don't do it. So you would think that that's the end of it. Well, no, that's not enough, because what is actually happening is left-wing commie uprising. You have these Marxists on the street that were using the fee increase, the price hike and all of this as an excuse as to take to the streets, do violence, burn everything, attack police, and create a climate of instability and a revolution across the country. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're seeing it in the streets of the United States. These same elements operate in our parts as well. They're operating, they've always operated in South America. Lately, you've seen them in Chile, in Bolivia, in Argentina as well. You basically see them across Latin America. It's always been the case. Lately, it's been mostly some of these instigators from Venezuela. They found lots of these in Chile during some of the uprisings and some of the violence over there. In Bolivia, I think it was also the case. So yeah, they find the dudes. If you find a bunch of Venezuelans all of a sudden throwing rocks at the police in Chile, what the hell are you doing here? You live here? No, I just came just for this, especially for this moment. And then you have people from the media like CNN. They were doing an interview with a former president of Colombia, Álvaro Uribe, and the former president, which is more of a center-left type of guy, he was saying that it is not true that the police is abusing its power, that is killing the protesters left and right, and that there's people being disappeared. That simply it's not true. Now, this is a former president that is not exactly aligned with more of the right-leaning current administration. He's more of a left-wing guy, but he was saying that yes, that what the police needs is the authorities as to stop the violence that's going on. He reminded the journalist from CNN that police have been murdered by this so-called protesters, and that hotels have been burned down when some of these officers were finding shelter there. So he was reminding the CNN talking head about all of this, and the guy from CNN was up on arms, all pissed and mad. How is it that you're not denouncing the disappearing and the murdering of protesters and blah, blah, blah? But well, good for Uribe, who stood there and put a stop to that nonsense, at least to the best of his ability. Anyway, guys, what's happening is that you have an uprising from the commies in Venezuela, and probably aided by the well-known commie instigators around the world. Some of these folks, you see them in the mainstream media. Some of these elements are in some of the more powerful organizations around the world, and they finance it. They promote it, they spread this doubt, this thing of people are disappearing in Colombia. They were talking about like 200 people disappeared. Most of those have been found already or were not disappeared in the first place. So they try to make up all this crap so as to install a sense of anarchy and authoritarianism and violence from the government, institutional violence, so as to delegitimize the current administration, which was elected. They're trying, and they were asking one of the so-called protesters, what is it that they want now? Because the law was not passed; it was canceled entirely. What is it that they want if they're protesting? Well, they just want to get rid of the president. They just want the guy to resign. They want to achieve through violence what they couldn't achieve through votes, through a democratic process. But of course, CNN is never going to be putting it that way because they have their own left-wing interests of their own. So folks, that's basically it. You know how this is going around the world. It's not just in one place. You see these little fires of Marxism spreading, and wherever they find the chance as to blow things up, they certainly take advantage of it. If you're interested in this sort of thing, survival and preparedness, the Modern Survival Manual, and for more of the current type of events, street survival skills. Folks, it's going to be all for now. See you in the next video. Have an awesome day. Take care.